Lily Harper, a young woman with dreams that stretched far beyond the confines of her modest life, was just 23 years old. She worked relentlessly at Rosie's Diner, a small, worn-out restaurant nestled deep in the heart of New York City. The chipped paint on the walls and the flickering neon open sign outside seemed to reflect her struggles, yet she always managed to wear a warm smile. Lily had a special gift, not just in serving customers, but in making them feel truly seen and valued. Despite her long hours and barely enough wages to get by, there was one thing that made her stand out. Every night, after wrapping up her shift, she would gather leftover food from the diner and share it with the homeless people she encountered on her way home. To her, it was just a small gesture of kindness, but to those she helped, it meant the world. One especially cold evening, as the rain poured relentlessly, drenching the city's streets, Lily hurried home, pulling her worn-out jacket tightly around her. That's when she noticed a small figure huddled beneath a bus stop shelter. A young boy, no older than 8, shivering as the storm raged on, his clothes completely soaked. Lily's heart ached at the sight. "Hey there," she said gently, kneeling beside him. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" The boy lifted his head, his face pale and filled with fear. "I don't have anyone," he whispered. "I'm hungry." Without a second thought, Lily took his hand and led him back to the diner. The rain poured down on them both, soaking them completely, but Lily didn't care. Once inside, she quickly wrapped the boy in a warm blanket and placed a steaming bowl of soup in front of him. As he ate, his face lit up with relief, and for the first time that night, despite the cold, Lily felt a comforting warmth deep in her chest. What she didn't realize was that, from across the street, someone had been watching her. A sleek black car sat idling quietly, its engine humming softly. Inside was James Dalton, a billionaire known for his sharp business mind and reclusive nature. He had been driving through the area after a long, stressful day, hoping the quiet streets would help clear his mind. But then, he saw her. At first, it was just curiosity. Why was this young woman kneeling in the rain beside a homeless child? But as he continued watching, seeing how she led the boy into the diner and cared for him with such genuine kindness, he found himself unable to look away. Her actions struck a deep chord within him. "Who is she?" James murmured to himself, his eyes locked on the diner. For the first time in years, something stirred inside him, something he couldn't quite explain. A sense of wonder, admiration. Scribbling down the name of the diner, he drove away, yet even after he returned to his luxurious penthouse, the image of Lily remained vivid in his mind. The following days blurred together for Lily. Between juggling double shifts and taking care of her younger brother, who depended on her to pay his school fees, she barely had a moment to think about the boy she had helped. Still, the memory of his grateful smile lingered, giving her the strength to push through her exhaustion. Meanwhile, James couldn't shake the thought of the waitress from his mind. He had everything money could buy, yet the image of her standing in the pouring rain, offering warmth and kindness to someone with nothing, refused to fade. It wasn't just what she had done that captivated him. It was the purity of her heart. He needed to know more about her. One evening, James made a decision. Dressed in a sharp, tailored suit that seemed completely out of place for a diner, he stepped through the door of Rosie's. The bell above the entrance jingled softly, drawing Lily's attention. Balancing a tray of plates, her hair slightly frizzy from the humidity, she turned to greet him, her smile as warm as ever. For a brief moment, James froze, struck by the familiarity of her face. "Welcome to Rosie's," Lily said cheerfully, offering him the same kindness she gave all her customers. "Have a seat anywhere you'd like." Her voice was light, but the weariness in her eyes didn't go unnoticed. James chose a corner booth, his gaze quietly following her every move as she worked. She treated everyone with the same kindness he had witnessed that rainy night. She patiently helped an elderly customer count his change, refilled a struggling mother's coffee at no charge, and even checked in on a regular who seemed quieter than usual. Every small act of kindness confirmed what James already knew. This woman was extraordinary. Once he had finished his meal, James silently handed Lily the bill, saying little. But before leaving, he slipped an envelope under his plate. Lily didn't notice it right away. It wasn't until she returned to clear the table that she spotted it. Inside was a stack of crisp bills, far more than any usual tip. Her hands trembled as she counted the money, her mind racing with questions. Without hesitation, she rushed outside, scanning the street for the mysterious man. But he was already gone. The sleek black car she had noticed earlier? Nowhere in sight. The rest of the night, she couldn't stop thinking about it. Who was he? And why had he left such a generous tip? By morning, Rosie's was buzzing with activity. Lily tied on her apron, ready for another shift, but her mind still drifted back to the homeless boy she had helped just days ago. She hoped he had found a safe place to rest. But soon, her focus shifted back to the customers flowing in for breakfast. Then, around midday, the restaurant's front door suddenly swung open. A tall, sharply dressed man entered, his polished shoes and tailored suit standing out among the casual diners. At first, Lily didn't notice him. She was busy taking an elderly couple's order. But when the hostess whispered that the gentleman over there had requested her to be his server, Lily looked up in surprise. She didn't recognize him immediately, but when their eyes met, a strange feeling of familiarity tugged at her. The man smiled warmly, his gaze lingering as though he was studying her. Lily shrugged off the odd sensation and approached his table, her notepad and pen in hand. "Good afternoon," she greeted him in her usual friendly tone. "What can I get you today?" The man hesitated before replying, "I'll take the special of the day, but only if you promise to take a break and join me for coffee later." Lily blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't usually take breaks during my shift. Is there anything else you'd like with your order?" The man chuckled. "Just the special for now," he said, handing her the menu. As Lily walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that something about him was different. It was as if he knew her, yet was choosing not to mention it. Throughout the meal, the man watched Lily closely. He saw how she treated every customer with patience and kindness, no matter how busy or stressful the situation. She carried trays with ease, smiled at even the grumpiest diners, and checked in on everyone to make sure they were satisfied. To him, it was clear. Lily wasn't just hardworking, she was extraordinary. When she brought him his bill, he reached into his wallet and pulled out a credit card. But as she turned to leave, he stopped her. "Wait," he said. "There's something I'd like to ask you." Lily paused, tilting her head curiously. "Yes." The man leaned forward slightly. "Do you remember helping a homeless man on the street last week?" Her eyes widened in surprise. "Yes, I do," she replied. "How do you know about that?" He smiled knowingly. "Let's just say I saw something that day. A young woman who went out of her way to help someone in need. I was impressed by your compassion." Lily blushed, feeling a bit embarrassed. "It was nothing, really. He needed help, and I just did what anyone should do." "Not everyone would have done what you did," the man said firmly. "Most people would have just walked by without a second thought." He handed her a folded piece of paper along with the bill. "This is for you," he said. "Open it after I leave." Lily stared at the paper, her mind racing with questions. Confused, yet too polite to refuse, Lily watched as the man stood, gave her one last smile, and walked out of the restaurant. Her curiosity got the best of her, and she quickly unfolded the note. Inside was a check for $50,000. Beneath that staggering amount was a handwritten message. "Your kindness has inspired me. Use this to create the future you deserve. A grateful stranger." Lily's heart raced as she clutched the check, her hands trembling. She ran outside, scanning the street for any sign of the man, but he was gone. Her mind swirled with questions. Who is he? Why would he give me such an unbelievable gift? And why did he seem so familiar? That night, as she sat in her tiny apartment, Lily couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious man. She wanted to return the check. It was far too much money for her to accept. But there was no contact information on the note, and she had no clue how to find him. Days turned into weeks, and Lily's life began to change. With the money, she paid off her debts and started saving to open her dream. A small cafe where everyone, including the homeless, could find a warm meal and a welcoming smile. Still, she couldn't stop wondering about the man who had given her the chance to turn her life around. Then, one day, as she was walking home from the restaurant, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, and there he was, the generous stranger from the restaurant. "I hoped I'd find you," he said with a grin. Lily stopped dead in her tracks, her heart pounding. "You again? Why did you give me that money? Who are you?" The man stepped out of the car, his expression serious yet kind. "I owe you an explanation," he said. "My name is Andrew Hale. I'm the CEO of Hale Enterprises." Lily's jaw dropped. Hale Enterprises, one of the biggest companies in the country, and Andrew Hale was a well-known billionaire. "I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to see how you'd react," he continued. "I've spent years building wealth, but I've never seen anyone as selfless as you, helping that homeless boy. It wasn't just an act of kindness. It showed who you really are." Lily was speechless, struggling to process everything. "But why would someone like you care about me? I'm just a waitress." Andrew smiled. "You're far more than that. You have a heart that money can't buy, and I believe the world needs more people like you." He handed her an envelope. "This is the deed to a small cafe downtown. It's yours now. Consider it an investment in someone who truly deserves it." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes. She tried to refuse, but Andrew insisted. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Keep helping others. You're the one who inspired me." From that day forward, Lily's life transformed. Her cafe became a haven for those in need, just as she had always dreamed. And though she never fully understood why fate had brought Andrew Hale into her life, she knew one thing for sure. Kindness, no matter how small, could change the world.